there's a number of different ways that we can come at why we don't believe in free will. But the one I'll talk about is that because, as if you've watched the show with any regularity, you know that we believe that the human race is not in touch with reality. That our mind-generated reality is where we live, and it is not does not match.
We have no
actual reality.
idea what reality is. Period. We can label stuff and categorize stuff and pick dung apart on the jungle floor with a stick and label the smaller and smaller pieces until the pieces of dung become waves and particles. Oh my God, now the monkey is really bewildered, and we think we know what that is. We don't know what dung is.
Right.
At a certain level, we don't know what anything is.
Right.
We're out of touch with reality, but we walk around thinking like we know. We're hip, fashionably trendy people living in Asheville. Not me. I'm not trendy at all.
Okay, but let me just finish my thought, which is, so this mind-generated reality is constructed by our perceptions being filtered through assumptions and beliefs in our mind, the vast majority of which we are completely unaware of. We don't even know this process is going on. So by the time we become aware of something, we have already interpreted it, filtered it through our beliefs, and set it to match our preconceptions. And so when we respond to something, we're not responding to the world as it is. We're responding to the world as it is filtered through our preconceived ideas about the world. So we are not freely choosing to do things. We are stimulus response machines based on these unconscious beliefs and assumptions that make up our mind filtration system. So there's, we think we're the conscious originator of our thoughts and deeds. And that is a real fantasy, that we are basically everything we do comes up through unconscious processes. And our conscious mind comes along afterwards and tells a nice story about how we did the things we did, how we thought to do these things. That's just a story we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel better. So that's just one way of looking at freedom.
I'm so bored with us. I really am. Why don't you people call us and say something intelligent? I mean, people come up to us in the street. I love your show. Yeah, what do you love? My big boobs. What? What's your kick? What's your trip? Call our number 808-8014 and say something smart. Give us something to talk about. Ask us to expand on us.
Well, somebody
I'm really
did.
sick of
Somebody
this.
did ask us to.
I swear to God, I'm going to stop.
Somebody did ask us to expound on freedom. So
yeah, okay. So
that's
here
what
it
we're doing
is.
here.
So we're expanding on freedom. I don't know anything about freedom. I know a lot about slavery.
All right, we'll talk about that then.
I'm enslaved to this, to my mind. When this tells me to jump, I jump, and I don't come down till it tells me to. A lot. Mm-hmm. This has ruled my life. This decided I was a certain way when I was still pooping in my pants, and I've lived my whole life on variations of that. Fixed theme. I am the same person as I am loading my diapers when I was 5 years old. That's slavery. That's not freedom. Let's define our terms maybe first.
Okay.
We have a nifty definition of free. You know what it is? Free is unrestrained by limitation. Just think about that. Unrestrained by limitation. Now, if you think you're free, if you think about that definition for 1 second, if you think, you'll see, first of all, that free is an absolute state. Mm-hmm. You're either free or you're not. You're either free, which means you're completely, absolutely unrestrained by any limitation whatsoever. And if you think that's where you're at, then I suggest you get psychiatric help as quickly as possible. I imagine there are a few free clinics that Ronnie Reagan didn't close down that, maybe they can give you some medications to at least keep you from becoming violent. Nobody's free.
Nobody's unrestrained by limitation.
Nobody's unrestrained by limitation. And if you're not free, how the hell do you think you have free will? Let's get the other definitions out, because without agreeing on the definitions, without defining our terms, we're just really lost in space. We're building the Tower of Babel, which has been going on forever. Free, unrestrained by limitation, will, intention made manifest. Even if it's just in the mind, even if you intend to go to the store for ice cream at 2 o'clock in the morning, you go to Ingles or Walmart or another 24/7 there to serve your Royal American rear end. You can have the intention, whether you move on it or not. You've intended it. I intend it. As soon as Dancing with Stars reruns over, I'm going to get out and go to the store for ice cream. It's will, it's intention made manifest, at least in the mind, and acted out on, of course.
Right.
So free will is intention unrestrained by limitation, made manifest. I'm trying to think who would be an example of that. The genie in the bottle. Whatever you want.
That's right.
Boom, you got it.
Right.
You got it, Toyota. I mean, you got it. There it is. Anything you want, exactly what you want, instantaneously.
Right.
Anybody got that out there in TV land? Give me a break. Once again, psychiatric help. I'll try to get a number for mental.
Okay, so yeah, and that we have to remember that we're putting out our definitions, and so that the discussion is based on
808-8014. Refute it.
Accepting
Free, unrestrained by limitation.
Right, our definitions. However, and then a lot of people will say, okay, I mean, I can see where unrestrained by limitation really does get at the essence of what the word free means. But as with your definition of love, Arthur and Katie, which is also an absolute state.
The experience of unconditional acceptance of what is.
Your definitions have a dandy way of being too hard for human beings to experience and accomplish. So, I mean, there's got to be some relative states here that then have meaning in my life.
I love you.
A relative state of love where I accept you to the best of my ability.
Love your ass.
And how about where I'm free?
Oh, Senator, love your suit. I wish I could do a Hannibal Lecter.
Well, so I was thinking about giving an example of freedom, of free will, that while you were talking, Arthur, and it kind of fits in with love. And that's when you think about our modern day culture, as opposed to other traditional cultures where they arrange marriages, and you have no choice at all in who you're going to marry. That nowadays we live in a culture where you are free to go out and choose the one you're with. And so you could say, if you believe in free will, that I freely chose to marry Arthur. And
well, there's a term for that, clinical masochism, I think.
I know, I was waiting for something like that.
Sadism.
Okay. I didn't want to be the one to say it. Because
nothing could be farther from the truth. This is Katie's trying to play devil advocate, but even she can't.
No, but that's I'm going to use this as an example of how it's absurd to think that I freely chose to be in a relationship with you. And I've talked about this in another at least one other show where I've only had one other long-term relationship besides Arthur, and that was in college. It went for 3 years. And I met Arthur basically at the same time as this poor other unfortunate.
Is this sad enough for you?
What, that I've only had 2 long-term relationships? That's how insecure I am.
Well, actually, it beats me. I've had 3. And they've all ended in disaster, except for this one. Well, I mean, this is learning to live with your disaster.
That's what I was going to say. This is just 2 people, that's right, that just have been willing to put up with disaster because it's maybe, the disaster is better than the disaster you don't know. Okay, but the point is that I'm trying to lumber towards is that after I started getting to know Arthur and I started seeing the dynamics of the relationship I had with Arthur, I realized that most of the dynamics were exactly the same as with this man I was in a relationship with for 3 years. Things I liked and things I didn't like were both present. We played the relationship games virtually identically. And exactly, what a coincidence. And so what I realized from that experience was that not that, as I said, that I pulled, just drew 2 jerks to me out of the, And there's all these nice guys out there, and I had to pull two that would treat me the same way badly. No, that I unconsciously look out there in the world of available men, and that's because I'm heterosexual. I find the ones who will have the psychological makeup that they will interact with me in the way I think I need to be interacted with in order to have a relationship, which is someone who plays a dominating role, so I can play the submissive female. And I'm not interested in a man that doesn't have that psychological configuration. You may be the most wonderful man in the world, but I'm not going to want to be in a relationship with you because you wouldn't want to be in a relationship with me because you're too nice. You won't dominate me, so I can, play the. So
what I'm saying here, you get what's going on over here. There's no free will in this.
This is going on.
Only a certain type will do. You who are serial monogamist, or you've been in a number of relationships, you can relate to what we're saying. It's all the same. Because I wrote a song once. I've done it on this show. My country song. I don't care if you still say you love me. I simply don't believe it could be true. 2/3 of who I am is someone I can't stand. So there must be something awful wrong with you. Only you will do. Only you will reinforce my act. Only you will keep my lumbering circus train on track. When I hold your gland, I'm in your hand.
And
no
you could ask the question, are
Free
people
my ass.
happier in their marriages today than they were a couple hundred years ago when things were more arranged? Maybe, maybe not. Look at the divorce rate. Certainly, we are not making a very good success out of our supposed freedom.
Well, when there's no hope for other,
right?
You damn well are invested in making your bed. You're making the best of it,
right?
Unless you really want to, Yeah. So there was no choice back then. You were stuck for life with it. So you'd better just look on the sunny side, always on the sunny side.
You didn't hear what I said.
Suck it up. I'm sorry. I'm really kind of out of it today.
Never mind. Think about it. Okay, never mind. So, freedom, relative freedom. So, because there I was kind of disparaging the relative freedom, saying that maybe the fact that we're free to choose who we want to marry has not brought about any happiness. So it sounds like I don't really think that freedom is and as I was thinking about this, I thought that that we can distinguish between like political freedoms, freedom of speech, from the free will argument. That I am exercising my freedom of speech right now.
North Korea would be lined up against a wall and probably clubbed to death with, they wouldn't want to waste a bullet. They're so goddamn poor. So,
we are relatively much more free now than in any other age in history. And we were just looking at George Carlin's list of 7 words that you can't say on television, and we still couldn't say them here on URTV in 2010. I guess when he made that list in like 72 or something.
Well, you can say them on URTV after 11 o'clock.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's one of the reasons we moved to Asheville, because of URTV.
You can actually act them out after 2 a.m. if you really want to.
Yeah, that's right, apparently.
Yeah.
Save that for our final show.
So, I think this is what's going on in Egypt, is this fight to be able to speak, the fight to be able to assemble freely, the fight to have these kinds of freedoms of expression, that it's not freedom in this way of I'm unrestrained by limitations inside my mind. It's that what's in my mind I am free to put out into the world, and that's
within certain limits.
And I think that maybe what we're really trying to say here more than anything else, and this definitely applies to the political realm, is when we think we're free when we're not, there's no better condition to be continued as a slave. Because if you think you're free when you're a slave, you're not going to try and throw off your shackles.
That's right.